Hey everybody, it is rainy Los Angeles right here, and as you can see, I'm kind of virtually at the Rainbow Bar and Grill in Hollywood. Before I get started today, with all sorts of technical issues, I apologize about the delays. I have to thank my sponsors, my buddies at Five Star Guitars. They've been with me for over a year now. If you are in Oregon and you're interested in playing guitar, go to fivestarguitars.com/all-access-live. Hit the promo code area and add all access 15, and you'll save 15% off everything you see there. Plus, there's no sales tax in Oregon, so you're going to save a ton of dough. So, fivestarguitars.com/all-access-live. All access 15 is your promo code. Let them know I sent you. I would appreciate it. And there's a music store that has the greatest selection of drums. It's been over 30 years in Portland, Oregon. Rhythm Traders, they've offered clinics there, and they're big fans of my next guest today. So if you go to rhythmtraders.com and you let them know that I sent you, they'll give you 10% off everything you see. Plus, again, it's in Oregon, so there's no sales tax. So let them know that I sent you, and they will appreciate the support. If you'd like to support me, there are a couple of options. You can see that you can go to Venmo and hit at Heavy Metal. That's my tag for Venmo. You can also add at Cash Tag, Cash App. You can use the cash symbol Heavy Metal and support me. As you can see, there's a Venmo link right here. If you want to scan that sucker, I'd appreciate your support. It'll allow me a better production facility other than the car in the parking lot outside this wonderful Starbucks in Hollywood. Now, the reason I'm not meeting with Glen Sobel, as you might know, is that there's this crazy pandemic happening in the world, and we couldn't find a great place that allowed us 6 feet of separation and still get as close as I want to, because I needed to be able to give him birthday spanks. It's his birthday yesterday. So, actually 2 days ago. Sorry, if you wouldn't mind, when I have him join here in a second, we need to just gather 27 birthday spanks, maybe a little bit more than once. So let me bring that sucker on, man. Here is my buddy Glen Sobel. Glen, what's going on, bud?
Yeah, 2 days ago was the birthday.
That's right. Yep. Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm in a time warp, man. I'm a time warp outside the Starbucks and Denny's right off of Sepulveda here. So
How rock and roll.
Yeah, that feels a little rock and roll. But you notice that this location right here, that in the backdrop, you recognize that booth, right?
Yeah, I've sat at that booth once or twice or 100 times. Yeah.
That's the last time I was in that booth. You know what happened?
Oh yeah, right.
You remember? No. You're thinking of the time I was mistaken for a certain drummer.
Right. That too. Yeah. All that. So
yeah.
It's like we're there right now.
I kind of feel like it, except unfortunately, the dude that was there stealing my pizza last night, I think he's in jail for some time, so he's not going to be a. Yeah. Anyway, we don't have to go there, man. Happy birthday!
Thanks. Yeah. It's a crappy birthday because it's right between Christmas and New Year's, and people are occupied or away, but I'm kind of used to it by now.
Not bad, man. But you're not used to having to be stuck in your drum studio and doing Zoom chat.
There's worse places to be stuck.
Oh, yeah, man. But when I talked to you the other night, I called to wish you happy birthday. I was backstage at my gig, and you were doing a Zoom chat with your homies from back in school.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, that was the birthday party, another one of those for the second year in a row.
Oh, my God.
But it was cool because there's people from different states, and, it makes it super convenient. So why not?
Yeah. Now, didn't you go to school with Tom Sturgis? Is that right?
You mean Tom Pruzak?
Oh, yeah, Tom Pruzak. I'm sorry. Yeah. Tom Pruzak. Were you guys in the same class?
At our Alice Cooper benefit show in Phoenix, yeah.
Oh, is he there? Okay, that's right. Awesome, man. Well, you want to talk about that? Tell me what every year Alice does his Christmas pudding thing, right?
Yep.
So, all right. So tell me who was in attendance this time.
Well, it was at the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix, Arizona, which is a killer venue. It's in the round with a stage that rotates.
That's right.
That particular night, the stage, the whole motor engine that rotates the stage, it wasn't working. So there were guys there literally that were rotating it themselves like the whole time. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It looked like forced slave labor or something.
Oh my God. It's the old school days, man, where they push the drum riser up. That now
it might as well have been that. But we did an Alice Cooper set, and we had Orianthi there. I did a mini set with her, and then she joined the Alice Cooper set for a couple of songs. It was great. It's like old times. And then there were other guests there that got up for the final finale, but we had some other people there to kind of help with the heavy lifting, backing people up. So we had Mark McGrath.
Oh,
we had Felix Cavalieri from the Rascals.
nice.
And Ed Roland from Collective Soul.
Oh, cool.
There, yeah, everyone just doing their hits and then getting out at the very end for Run Run Rudolph.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
I'm 18 also. I think some people got up during that and School's Out. Yeah.
I saw some Mark McGrath doing School's Out with you.
Yeah.
It was funny, man, because he was shooting live video and running all over the side stage. He looked like the crazy super fan at the show, which was awesome.
Into it, yeah. What a ball of energy. Totally into it. And yeah, he was enjoying every minute.
And Alice does it for charity, right? That's the big thing.
Yeah, it's for Alice and Cheryl Cooper's Solid Rock. They have two now. There's a teen center. This is for kids. A teen center in Phoenix and one in Mesa, a newer one. And it's all kinds of things for kids, especially at-risk youth.
Okay.
Is a category, but it's music, it's dance, it's art, it's all kinds of things.
Were you an at-risk youth when you were younger?
No, I totally was not.
Yeah.
Totally filtered.
Our mutual friend Jennifer Batten told me about what a wonderful family you had growing up, and we've talked about this on the show before about your rehearsals in your mom's shoe closet or something.
Right, way back. I still had a practice little room there,
yeah.
And it was free. So
yeah, absolutely, man.
Why not?
Now your place, you've got your studio still downstairs at your house, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and is this right behind you? Is this the kit that you do a lot of the videos on your page from?
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff here. I mean, now I've got the full-on Pro Tools setup.
Okay.
I've got the 25-inch monitor behind me here.
Nice.
And I've just been learning so much about recording. I'm starting to do sessions now. I've been doing sessions for different people, remote sessions. It's just the technology now. It's so easy. I'm getting amazing sounds out of here. And then that's just a whole other thing to dive into is, what does this snare sound like under the mic with these EQ settings and with this, this type of plugin? And you just kind of can go crazy. But I've got the universal audio gear, the Apollos, and that's top of the line stuff. And it's a blast to do this.
It's good that you did that. Honestly, I mean, long before COVID, but you knew that was sort of the way of the future, right?
Yeah, it was something I should have done a long time ago. I knew I was going to say that as soon as I got this up and running a while ago. I knew that once I really dove in, I would think like, oh yeah, should have been a long time ago. But with touring schedules and whatever, there's always the next leg of tour coming up, thankfully. But that hasn't been that way so much the last couple of years.
Well,
obviously.
I mean, you just did a big stretch, right?
We did. We got one in.
And then you've got another one coming up mid-January, I think.
We are supposed to leave towards the end of January.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a short run that it's like 8 or 10 shows, and then there's the Monsters of Rock cruise.
Yeah. God, let's hope, right?
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a sec.
Yeah.
Tell me about, man, I know that a lot of people that are in the chat, it's nice to see Judy and Diana and Melanie. Man, we got some Canadians there. Nathan from Kentucky. I see Caleb Rankin. That's great that he's there. Thanks, Caleb. But the people that were at these last shows, this last run of shows that you had, what was the COVID protocol, man? Did you have proof of vaccination and all that required?
Totally depends on the state, the county, the promoter, the venue. So I wasn't sure from one show to the next sometimes. I don't think any of us were. But I know there were some shows that were vaccinated or a test. And yeah, it's going to drive people crazy, but that's what it is now. You could complain about it, or you can just get with whatever the program is to go see your favorite artist in concert. But we did have a what's called a COVID compliance officer. That's on many tours now.
Okay. And
we tested every show day.
I mean, you said that people might complain. For me, even if I'm going to a show, if I'm playing a show, I'd way rather have those in place. I'd like to know that the people that I'm standing closer than 6 feet next to are, they're taken care of. They're taking precautions. And
oh, absolutely. And I got to say, with our entire band and crew, that might be just about 30 people with drivers and everybody. We had 0 cases in 5 weeks of tour.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
We didn't have after show meet and greets, no after show guests, none of that. So it was us and the Ace Frehley band on this whole run, and we just be in one of the dressing rooms after the show, like everybody going live on Instagram going, oh yeah, this is our post-show meet and greet, you know.
With each other. Here I am meeting my bandmates.
We didn't have people coming with after show passes, and other tours just didn't fare so well. You know, some had to pull off of the road, and that would have been terrible to cancel a bunch of shows or a few.
Yeah, man. You know, when you and I talked on your birthday, and we talked about some unfortunate, you know, folks that are in the business that passed. It's nuts that that I don't know, man. We don't have to get political, and you know, the people that are sort of talking about being anti-vax. The biggest thing is what we do, you and I, and the people that are in your crew. This is our livelihood. It's more than just, you know, it's not like we're going out and partying, man. I mean, we do this for a living. We do this, you know, because it keeps our spirit alive. And those people that want to go to shows, it keeps them alive too. I mean, like, you know, they thrive on live music, right? So I understand why people might feel inconvenienced by having to have proof of vax, but at the same time, they, you know, I know that I'm sure you're in the same way. The energy in the crowd seems so much bigger now after show. Sure. It depends on where you go, but
yeah, even when it's a smaller crowd because of current conditions, it's still like sounds like a packed, full, sold out show. Yeah, it was great in that respect. And yeah, we all knew when this was just getting going, we were thinking, oh my God, this is going to kill the live music business. Right. And it's going to be one of the last things to come back. So, you know, we just want to be able to go back to work and do this regularly. We're lucky we get to do it, but it's obviously been a lot of hit and miss, touch and go the past few months. But we did get that leg of tour in. That was great.
And you've got international guys in your band, right? Like some of your guys are overseas. Like I know that
both Rossi's in Stockholm, Tommy Hendrickson's in Zurich, Switzerland. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
we're from all over.
I mean, for us too, right? So our singer, he's in Liverpool, and he's had some restrictions, and unfortunately, like our guitarist.
And for people that don't know, this is Flock of Seagulls.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, right. Yeah. So I play with a Flock of Seagulls. Our singer's in Liverpool. Our guitarist, Gord, has COVID right now. So he had to miss the handful of shows recently. He's up in quarantine right now in Toronto.
A sub or an understudy?
So we have Chris Lytle as an understudy. He's an LA guy, and he came down and did San Diego. But like the other night when I talked to you, I told you, like as soon as I hung up, we're walking right on stage. It was pouring rain in San Diego, like hard. And we're outside the baseball stadium, right? So people stayed. I was talking about the energy from people that are excited to have live music back. I could not believe that people stuck around and watched that show, as many people as they did, right? There were a lot of people that ditched, but it was cold and rainy. So they probably wouldn't have done that if we had last.
That tends to happen in December.
Yeah, but you know, I don't expect that kind of weather. Like it feels like Portland here in LA right now. Mm-hmm. This is nuts, man, that I'm like a stone's throw away from you right now. But because of, you know, the situation, man, we're talking to each other virtually. But
and there's just some time constraints on your end too, you know, with having to catch flights and things. So we have this. We got this technology. We couldn't have done this a few years ago.
I love that. Yeah, man. And you know, we will be certainly back together, you know, in person. Hopefully, the way that your tours and ours have been lately too, it seems like we miss each other by a couple of days in the cities that we're in. But you know, as time gets closer, hopefully we'll be able to overlap. You are coming to Portland, and it's a big tour this year, man.
That's in April.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah,
I think it's the week that we get back from Europe, and you got Ace on that leg too, right?
You know what? I think most of that leg that was just announced March, April, I think that's mostly Buck Cherry.
Buck Cherry, that's right, man. Yeah, no, Buck Cherry and Dirty Honey, was that the other?
No, they're not on that I know.
Okay.
It's Buck Cherry, and then towards the end, there was a couple of shows with Ace maybe, but we toured a bunch with Ace. Great crew, great bunch of guys, the band.
You got Matt Starr on drums, I know, right?
Right, yeah, good hang, and then with Buck Cherry, we know those guys, so it'll be a good hang again.
Those guys are all good pals of mine too, man. It's nice to see. Kelly Lemieux, their bassist, you probably know from years back, but he's a Portlander, man. So
I didn't know. Okay, Portland talent.
Yep, that's well, I don't know if you'd call some of us that, but yeah. So I'm curious, man, about this next run. You talked about the Monsters Rock Cruise too. Now, some people throw caution to the wind, right? They hop a boat, and they don't mind being lost at sea. What are your plans, man? So if the cruise goes through, obviously you're vaccinated, you're double vaxxed, you got your booster shots, you're wearing a mask everywhere you go. How are you going to avoid mingling with people on the boat?
Well, as far as I know, that cruise is it's all vax and they test everybody. It's that, as far as I know.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
like 98% sure of that. And yeah, we all in our camp, yeah, we all have to be vax and boosted before the next leg of tour. And I know there's people that hate to hear that, but
Whatever, dude. I mean,
you just don't care about that anymore.
totally.
There's been enough that's gone on where, you know, it's you either do the right thing or you don't.
Yeah.
And it's not political. It's just
It's
us
not.
going back to work and doing what we got to do.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, like, if anybody has an issue with that, you're looking out for their well-being as much as your own.
Totally.
You know? So,
Yeah.
we're on the boat right behind you, right? We're doing the '80s cruise, and
Oh, when's that?
we're doing the first week of March, actually. So we do Florida through the Bahamas and you know, the Virgin Islands, and it's a similar kind of thing. When the pandemic first came out and boats were stranded out there, we didn't know anything about vaccinations, and we didn't even know that at all, right?
Long ways off, yeah.
Yeah, let's hope that that we can stay safe. And I it's hard for me. I'm really good about keeping some distance these days, but I can't imagine being on a boat and not connected with people. You know, I mean, most of those things, you're at a buffet eating dinner, you know, or
you think about all those things, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And the small sort of like indoor theaters they have.
Yeah.
All that.
Right.
Sure.
What do you man, when you're out doing those gigs, do you do excursions? Do you go off and like snorkel or anything like that?
I've only done one rock cruise, but no, I don't think there was really time to do that. We what do they call it? Disembark. We did that in the Bahamas one time. You could just go out and see the town, and then you get back in the boat.
But that's not something you would do if you had time. Would you go out and hit the, you know? Yeah. Are you a snorkeler?
No, not so much. I mean, I've done it once. It was okay. It was cool.
Yeah.
We did it in Hawaii once.
Oh yeah, I've seen you in your festive Hawaii get up from back in the, because after you guys finish the tours, usually didn't Alice fly you over for New Year's in Maui?
Well, yeah, with the exception of this New Year's and last New Year's, there was 9 years in a row we did the Maui Shep Gordon benefit show.
Yeah.
Well, just the best time ever. And we're there for just about a week for one gig. Sometimes there's a second one also on December 30th, another short gig. But yeah, those are just awesome. It's not quite the whole Alice band, but it's at least a couple, 2, 3 of us. And I've done it all those years, playing in the house band, backing up all these amazing people. And it feels like it's just the best, coolest party in the world. You know, to be a part of it.
It's crazy to if people watch you and they follow your Instagram and your social media, it seems like everywhere you go on tour anyway, you and the band are oftentimes playing a show after the Alice gig is done, right? So you sit in, and it's nuts, man. You'll take over a venue in like Hungary and you'll just play for another 2 hours after the show is over, right?
Sometimes we've done those after a show.
Yeah.
More often, I think it's happened on nights off.
Oh, okay.
When we're in town a day early. And it's been 4 of us the last few years. We call it the Goon Squad.
Yeah.
It's me, Ryan, Chuck, and Tommy. And they all take turns singing lead on different songs. We do one each of their originals, some of that which I had played on their original records. And they're a blast, man. I mean, you get like a packed, sweaty club, and we're playing even some Alice Cooper tunes, and sometimes we got special guests. We did one in Sydney, Australia. This was our last tour run before everything closed. It was February of 2020. We did one at Frankie's Pizza in Sydney, which is the Rainbow Bar and Grill of Sydney, Australia.
No way.
It is, and they have a little stage there with house gear. So that was amazing. And there was an old student of mine from MI that brought some extras like snare pedal cymbals, so it sounded nice. And we had Angry Anderson from Rose Tattoo join us, and we did one of his tunes, and because he's a legend down there.
Yeah.
And that was just one of the coolest. That was one of the coolest gigs that we had done as far as the side gigs, the Goon Squad.
That was it Chuck that started that thing up?
I don't really know. Was there a person that started that? Ryan seemed to take care of the booking on most of it, just dealing with the venue beforehand.
The dude has so much energy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's got a really active podcast, and he seems to be doing something.
He's doing great with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, man. I need to take some tips on sponsorship and all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
you're doing great with it.
I really enjoy it, man. For me, as you know, I had to do it when we weren't gigging because I'd get myself in trouble otherwise, you know. But I think, you know, as you're doing those gigs, because Nita Strauss has got. I've seen a handful of the shows that she's shown up some after hours gigs, right, to do
Yep.
with you, and she's got her own band, and it seems like she just released a record of her own, and she's doing some touring. So,
She was touring up until, I don't know, maybe a week ago or so.
Okay.
December here. Yeah, and she's doing really well. She's got a single that's doing great. It's something Dave Draymond from Disturbed sings on. Dead Inside, I think it's called. And it's, you know, it's charting. It's on the active rock stations.
God.
And it's doing, very well.
You remember the last time you and I shared a room with Dave Draymond? No. It was back when Steel Panther used to play the Roxy.
Oh, you were okay. You mean he was performing? Yeah.
Well, Steel Panther was playing, and they asked him to get up. Remember that? And he'd walk in the back.
Did he sing Sugar on Me?
He had bodyguards for him and his girlfriend, and they brought him up, and they kept trying to beg him to come up, and he was just not having it. He was really.
He did though, didn't he?
He got up finally, yeah, because they bullied him into it, which was great.
I mean, you got to know when you show up at Steel Panther, that's really a likely possible thing that you're going to get called up to play. You know?
Yeah. Oh,
I've seen people. One in particular, I will not mention, a certain drummer who they kept going, come on, you know, they said, so-and-so's here and he's going to get to play. He left.
No way. Are you serious?
Yeah. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm not going to tell you who it is. But
well, you've subbed on that gig.
Yeah. I played with them maybe 3 times, and twice it was Hot for Teacher.
Of course.
Which is funny enough because I'm not thinking I'm going to play, so I'm out wearing these army boots.
Oh, no.
And just chilling, you know, not warmed up, of course, maybe having a couple of drinks. And Glen Sobel from Alice Cooper's here, and he's going to get up and play Hot for Teacher.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Oh, no.
Well, so if you guys are watching this and you haven't seen Glen do this, it's one thing to see a drummer get up and sit in with a band and play Hot for Teacher the way Alex Van Halen did it, right? Now, Alex had a really cool, interesting drum part in that. And everybody that's heard it, whether you're a drummer or not, as soon as you hear that part, you know that's Alex Van Halen. Glen does that part spot on, but he does that whole intro with his feet. And so all the stuff that you would hear Alex doing with his hands, which is almost impossible, but somehow my guest today figured this thing out. So how did you do that with combat boots, not warmed up and getting called out? Did you do it the way Alex did it, or did you do the foot?
No, I did the foot thing. It helped, you know, that Darren, the drummer,
Sticks.
He's got a great monitor rig up there, and he's got the Porter and Davies seat thumper, which I used. That might have been the first time I played with a seat thumper. It's something where you hit the bass drum, the throne does like you feel it in your whole body.
Yeah, but
and I used the old style one called the butt kicker.
Right.
But then this company, Porter and Davies, came out with this new version of it where the piston and everything is inside the throne, and that fits in a snare case, and then the unit that controls it fits in another snare case. And I bring them around town when I've done local gigs. But
really,
it might have been the first night I played it, going, "Wow, this butt kicker feels like a lot more like to the point." And turns out it was this newer company, so that helps.
You know. Not to disparage Porter and Davies at all. It's an amazing company. They're really well managed. The first time I played on one, I felt like I had to poop. Actually, that was kind of gross. So yeah.
Well, you know what? You adjust it. I don't keep it turned up high. It's just enough to feel it. I keep it very low, but it's supposed to replicate a subwoofer pushing air.
Yeah, or a large man pushing on your bowels. But
yeah, well, you had it turned up too high, maybe.
Chris Olivas, our pal Chris, when he was playing with Berlin, he let me use his, and it was nice because, you know, when you're up in a drum kit and they don't have a good sub, it sucks, man, not to be able to feel the bass behind you. You know, so
and people don't always understand that unless they're a drummer. It's very inspirational to play with that bass drum being felt in here.
You play completely different, man. It's awesome. Yeah,
you play better and more relaxed. Of course.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Not how to try so hard because you're feeling everything you push.
It's like a singer that can't hear themselves. They strain their voice. They sing too hard. Drummers and singers have that in common. They have to be able to feel and hear what they're doing.
Yeah. I'm going to bump back for something. You mentioned the Alice Cooper tour, and I know that a lot of people that are watching this might not recognize or they might not understand kind of what goes on behind the scenes with some of those tours. You mentioned 30 people as part of your crew. Now,
Yeah,
everybody knows Alice has, a ton of theater production type stuff. But aside from, guys on stage, what is it like? I mean, you want to talk a little bit about production and what goes in behind the scenes to make your show so big?
Yeah. We've got 6 of us in the band with Alice, but we've got our crew. We've got a production manager. We've got props people. Everybody has a tech. There's a stage left guitar tech, stage right guitar tech, and then there's Michael Miller, my amazing drum tech, who's just one of the best in the business that you've had on your show.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, we've got our monitor guy, we got our front of house sound guy, we've got a stage manager, we've got drivers. There's bus drivers for 3 or 4 buses, depending on if we're carrying production with a sound company.
Okay.
There's the merch guy, merch people. There's the semi truck driver or drivers. So you add all that up, it's getting close to 30 people.
God, that's nuts, man.
Yeah.
I know that you and Michael have been together for a long time. He's an amazing dude.
He's been with me since the beginning of the gig. Yeah. Which is going to be 11 years in April.
Right on, man. I love that. Like 11 years. Do you remember? I mean, you and I, as you know, I'm protective of our friendship, right? So before you had the Alice gig, the way we met, we've talked about this in the show, when Jennifer Batten moved up to Portland and asked me to play with her, I'm like, who in the hell is this on your records, right? And she connected us, and I was really intimidated, right? Because your parts were ridiculous. Well, okay, but I just, stylistically, it was something that was so far, it felt out of reach. I was grateful that you were humble and you were gracious and just, sharing some inspiration with me. But thankfully, Jennifer said, I don't need you to play like Glenn. When she first told me about having you play, she said she'd been asking around because she was looking for somebody that had kind of a Basio vibe. And I know that you and Terry had some history together as well.
We had met. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I think at the Baked Potato, right? You were doing gigs and you were just like 18.
No, that would have been a totally likely way to meet drummers like that around LA here. But no, I was in my early 20s, and there used to be this thing that was this unofficial group of drummers. It was the Woodland Hills Drum Club. And, Mark Craney was the president, so to speak.
Okay.
And it was just drummers that lived in the West Valley here in LA, the West San Fernando Valley. So it was Greg Bissonette, my mentor, one of my mentors.
Yeah.
Myron Grumbacher from Pat Benatar's band, Doan Perry from Jethro Tull, Tristan Bowden from Chicago, just all kinds of drummers like that live in the area. And so every year they started doing this thing at this club that used to be right near here where I live in Canoga Park. It was called Mancini's. It was just a small club. And I remember they did this at least a few times, like right the Monday after the NAMM show. So everybody's in town.
Right.
And it'd be 3 drum sets on a stage and a band. And 3 drummers at a time would get up playing whatever song with the band. Then, of course, they'd leave a space for the drummers to trade 8s. And Mark Craney's left-handed kit was in the middle. And 2 right-handed kits. And, guys like Bozio, who were in town, didn't live here back then, would show up. Vinny showed up one year and jammed. And too bad there's not video. I've never seen video of that. But I played one night. They always made sure me, the kid, got up to play. Myron would always make sure. He was just so unbelievably cool.
Yeah.
And he'd make sure I got up during the first set when everyone was still there, not the second set after a lot of people left.
Okay.
Like I just couldn't believe how nice they were being. But I was Greg's former student at that point. I guess I played some pretty okay stuff. The kit felt nice, and whatever it was on tempo, I like, drummers like certain tempos.
Sure. What is yours?
Their licks were good at that tempo.
Yeah.
And what is the tempo?
Yeah, do you have a tempo that you just like, okay, this is my sweet spot?
Well, yeah, but I've stretched that over the years, like the sweet spot, like you're calling it. I've been able to figure out ways to just expand that to just about any tempo, just about.
Okay.
Yeah, if that makes sense. But guitar players have their favorite keys they like to solo in. But anyways, it was just, I guess I had a good night. So Terry approached me afterwards and say, "Hey, I'm Terry, and you're sounding great. I really saw what you're doing. I'm digging it, man. Wow." I'm just like, oh my God, this is the greatest night of my life. That's what it felt like.
You blew the opportunity, man. Right there. You could have said, "Who are you again?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah. What have you done that I should know?
Yeah. Oh, that would have been funny.
You from?
We just spoke briefly, but he got my number, or Greg gave him, I can't remember. I think I gave it to him, and he called me a few days later. We actually spoke for a little while. And then maybe the following year, 6 months later or so, he recommended me to Jennifer. Yeah. Are you frozen? Are you there? Are you frozen? Are you frozen, Kevin? Did we hit a glitch? What's going on here? Did we hit something? Oh, shit.
I lost you, buddy. I'm so sorry about that.
No, I figured.
Yeah, no, I think they're cutting me off of the Wi-Fi. No, this is my bad this time. The first time, I think you were borrowing Wi-Fi from your neighbor, weren't you, when we did this? So, yeah, no. So you were telling me. So Terry came up to you, said, "I'm Terry. You did a great job," and you said, "This is the greatest time of my life."
Well, I'm thinking that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he called me a few days later, and we talked for a little while, and then several months later, he recommended me to Jennifer.
Wow. Okay. So you guys stayed in touch, though, at least, and he knew what you had going on. And at that point, you had gotten out of Atlanta or out of MI. Is that right?
No, well, I never went to MI. You know,
Lama, right?
No, I never went to any of those schools. I taught at those schools.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Interesting.
But yeah, I started subbing in different classes at MI in the 90s. And then I was on more regular faculty in, like, I guess around 2003, 4. I was back at MI in a more regular weekly, just 1 or 2 days a week type of situation, and subbing at Llama a bit in the 90s and 2000s. Okay. Yeah.
And
Llama was LA Music Academy. Now it's called something else, but it's in Pasadena. It's a school Ralph Humphrey runs with some other people.
You know, I think early on when you and I were hanging too, we had some other friends. We had some friends. I had a friend that moved into to LA to do a sort of prominent gig in the shoes of the drummer we were just talking about. He said he was moving to LA and he was going to take over the city, right?
Right. Okay.
You know, you talk about being young, not having gone to any of the schools, but growing up in this community where you developed a relationship. You studied with Greg Bissonette. I'm curious, like, how did you feel like you had to work your way into the scene where you were respected? I mean, obviously, this kind of thing with Mark Craney. How did you develop a relationship with him where he was sort of featuring you?
Craney?
Yeah.
You know, that was just that club I was talking about earlier, where they'd have the Woodland Hills Drum Club with the 3 drum sets every year. That was this club, like I said, Mancini's. They had a jam every week on Tuesday night. This is going way back. I was 19, 20 years old when this was happening. And it was Mark Craney. It was his band. And it was Larry Wilkins from Sugarloaf, you know, Green Eyed Lady.
Yeah.
He was in there. And Mick Mahan was on bass, who plays with Pat Benatar still now for a long time.
Okay.
But I used to go every week, and Mark Craney, left-handed kit, and then they'd have a second right-handed kit. And when drummers would sit in, you double drum with Mark Craney.
Yes.
And it was right near where I live. So I would just go every week, and I'd be like, I want to really do great on that trading eights. And Mark was really into the metric modulation and odd note groupings. And I was getting into it, you know, a little bit with Greg and other people.
Okay.
And I was like, I want to do it real tricky and not get lost and not lose him. And, you know, I succeeded maybe 90% of the time, you know, but that's how I was honing those chops in a way. And I just couldn't wait to go to that every Tuesday, whether it was packed or like 10 people there. I was always there. And you meet a lot of people that way. And at the same time, I was Greg's student.
You know, like, Greg's a wonderful educator, of course, man. But what I've also heard from people that are really close to him is just his humility, you know, that he's a very personable guy. Did he talk to you a little bit about the hang and sort of like approaching one of those kind of situations at the jam?
Of course.
You could go up and without.
Absolutely. Yeah. The lessons that we did, it was group lessons, and it would be like 2 or 3 guys a lesson, me and one of my best friends, Mike Dubin. We were doing that. and another friend of ours, Al Velasquez, that has a drum school up in Ventura County that I did a clinic for years ago. It's good that we've kept in touch. But Greg would talk about, like, this is what happens on a recording session. Here's the chart I was given for this commercial jingle. And here's how we discuss playing this. And this is what the producer told me. And you got to have an open mind. It's all that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, musicians, earlier this afternoon, connected with my son's old singer, right? He moved to LA from Portland, didn't know one person. He came down here to be a rock star, right? He was a big fan of the LA Sunset Strip era. He's 22, I think now. And he came down with this vision of being back at Sunset Strip, right at the Rainbow, where all those bands got signed in 2021, right? The conversation I had with him today was the challenge, that the thing that he most looked forward to was actually kind of misleading. He had to rearrange his priorities a little bit. He came in without a chip on his shoulder. He doesn't have an attitude, a negative attitude. He's a wonderful kid. But I would imagine that you've got a bunch of students that have kind of come to you this way too, saying, hey, you've been under Alice Cooper for 11 years. I've seen you do all these other gigs. How do I get to this sort of world-renowned opportunity like you have, besides just having chops? What do I do? What do you talk to these kids about?
Sometimes when there's a drum lesson, whether it's in person or like this online, sometimes it turns into more of a consultation in a weird way.
Yeah.
Where you're just talking. And I don't put myself out there as some consultant, but right. There's experiences that I've gone through, and people like us go through touring, and you end up touring the world and having a few different record deals, major indie, whatever, and teaching and sessions, hired gun. You figure a few things out. But yeah. I would never say I have all the answers, but I would tell people about that political side of it, where people want to work with their friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's simple sometimes. Sometimes it's that simple. Sometimes it's so stupid and simple as a singer with a bunch of people auditioning, and that singer going like, oh, they look cool. I like that shirt that guy's wearing. I'll get him. Or, management label. They're not musicians. They're hearing with their eyes, which that's just the thing. This is the entertainment business, right. It's show business. So people are going to be looking for band members like they're casting a movie almost, which it sounds ridiculous. And I've known people that have gotten gigs for the most superficial of reasons. And some of them got like this one gig, this one time, because they looked a certain way, and then they never got anything significant again after that. Like they thought, oh, I'm on my way. I'm finally in. And then they're out when that gig is over. I'm not going to name names. It's not anybody that people would really know, but the artists they know I'm talking about. But
sure. Yeah. Well, honestly, the conversation I had with you a little bit ago, I mentioned being protective of you, right? I knew what an incredible drummer you were. The rest of the world and the music community knew, but you and I had talked about maybe getting called for cattle call auditions. And, before you even got in the room, they'd think, oh, he's the guy that played the super speedy double bass stuff, or he was the prog guy, right?
Maybe, yeah, if they knew that. I mean, you can get typecast real easily in music or in acting or anything. It's better to be known for something than nothing. But
oh, sure.
There were people, I mean, if they already viewed me as the guy that played with Jennifer Batten and Tony McAlpine and Gary Hoey, well, I can't blame them for thinking, oh, well, that's just all a lot of fusion, fast, show-off type of drumming and playing. And if that's the case, if they think that, then the audition wouldn't happen to begin with.
Yeah.
If you want to get a foot in the door, they have to know that you're a good potential person for that gig. So the reason I would feel that way walking into certain auditions wasn't because, oh, these guys look at me as the guy from this gig. It's just me not feeling like I'm one of them. I'm in their circle of friends. Like I've felt that walking in the door.
Yeah.
There's some good, cool acts that I auditioned for way back. It was great to just be on the short list. These weren't big cattle calls.
Right.
But I'm sorry, there's a notification that keeps popping up.
Oh, that's good.
But it was cool to be there and to play like a few songs with these legendary artists. And it just didn't happen. I would know a lot of times, not so much the playing side of things, but just I didn't really know them. And that's awkward and weird to take someone on that nobody in the band knows.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, Alice Cooper, Tommy Henriksen. He's the one. I've known him a long time. We were in a band together in the 90s. He became a producer, got me on sessions. And then he was working with Bob Ezrin and Alice. I've told you this story in a lot of interviews. He got me in that circle. And then I didn't know personally the other guys in the band, but we all had a ton of friends in common.
Okay.
So that's just like instant familiarity. It goes a long way.
It does. I mean, like, of course, who you know is a big part of it, but knowing that you're an easy hang, you know, if Tommy Hendrickson can speak to and vouch for you and say, you know, like, dude, you know, this guy's, you know, on the road, he's no drama. The guy shows up, he's early, he has his stuff together.
Yeah, they have to vouch for your character,
right,
as well as your playing. There's a ton of people out there that can play, but they got to say, yeah, this guy's not crazy.
Yeah,
they'll be okay. And,
you know,
and you have to prove that too. You have to just be cool like that. Being a hired gun, it's this line you got to walk. You're friends with the artist you're working for, but you're their employee. It's a lot. It's a lot of things to consider.
Man, you know, we were talking about the Shep Gordon event in Maui. One of the things that I was really excited about, being protective of your reputation. My favorite memory was one of the events. Like each year, there were some staples, right? There were guys that would come back every year. I think you told me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was like Steven Tyler was there, most of them. Michael McDonald was there for most of them. Yeah. But the thing that impressed me most was that there was a gig that you posted of you playing with Sarah McLachlan. And I thought, that's the perfect thing. Because if people can see that you can lay back, play pocket, and play exactly what was needed for that gig, then Glenn can play the whole gamut of everything pop, rock, everything in between, right?
Yeah, that was a cool thing too, because it seems like every year almost that I've done that 9 years in a row, there's always some last minute artist that gets added to it because they're there on the island in Maui.
Yeah.
You know, Steven Tyler, Michael McDonald, Weird Al, they all live there. They have houses there. So they're in Maui. That's why they're there every year. But Sarah McLachlan was there, and it might have been the night before, but they said, yeah, she wants to do Building a Mystery, which is a great song.
It is.
I was stoked to do it. It's a very laid back, cool tune. And we just rehearsed with her at sound check that day. Like that's common on a lot of these gigs. You just rehearse at sound check.
Yeah.
And you just got to show up, and there's a little bar of 2/4 in there. And I just remember playing that, and she kind of like nodded like, okay, this band, these guys, this drummer, they know, they're not phoning it in.
Right. This is not his first rodeo.
Yeah. So yeah, last minute guests with that have been funny, man. I mean, Mike Myers was a last minute guest one time.
What did he do?
We did BBC from Austin Powers.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No way.
If you remember the first Austin Powers movie, there's a group called Ming T, and Susanna Hoffs from the Bangles is in it. And that was sort of a single, you know, BBC One.
Yeah.
And so we did that. It's like a 2-chord song, but I think 2 nights before we were at Shep Gordon's party at his house. That's Alice's manager who puts on the event. And he came up to me with Mike, who I had met earlier in the evening. He's like, what do you think? Mike wants to do this BBC tune on, you know, New Year's. And I said, oh yeah, I know that song. That'll be great. I'll tell the guys in the band. I might've been the last guy at the party or something out of the band. And yeah, it was a blast. That's somewhere on YouTube. And man, like the last one we did in 2020, right before 2020, that New Year's, the last minute guest was Paul Simon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who has been in Maui, I guess, on occasion on New Year's. And we did a song off of Graceland called Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoe.
Oh, it's a great song, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Andres Ferrero was there playing percussion and drum set. Okay. He's amazing. He's in Hamilton on Broadway. So he added the whole conga thing, and it made it like cool, like the record.
God.
And yeah, that was just too funny.
I know that Sammy was on one of the last ones too. I loved watching you guys do the Sammy Hagar stuff.
He was on one a few years ago. Yeah, he was a last minute guest.
Yep.
And then like day of, he wanted to add in Pound Cake, I think it was, and we had to get up to speed on that really quick. And yeah.
You know, a gig that probably helped prepare you for a lot of those too. You've been the go-to guy for the Lucky Strike jams, right? So it's really cool to have seen how much material you learn just with no moment's notice, hardly at all, you know, to do those gigs.
That gig's been great. I'm a member of the resident band, it's called. And we started doing that in 2016. And I was always into making charts and cheat sheets and getting up to speed on things, you know, where I'd filled in on tours. But doing that gig, man, that whole skill set got like way better.
Yeah.
Just because you figure out better ways of making charts and learning things on short notice and just figuring out shortcuts instead of writing out a bunch of bars, things that violate the traditional rules of charting out music and making traditional, first, second endings, DSL coda. Musicians know what that is that read music.
Yeah.
I'm not going by that system necessarily. There's a few videos on my YouTube channel that show the process of me writing out a chart for a song.
Yeah, you've got that. I mean, Nate Morton has a really interesting, cool way to,
his system is different from mine, but it works awesome for him.
And there's, the Nashville number system. Jim Riley talks a lot about that, and the guys that are having to do that stuff, those kind of session gigs quickly, you have to find shortcuts, because if you were going to, chart out all that stuff, it'd take too much time. But like Steve Ferlazzo,
music like that, that's gotten me gigs. People know that I read music and do that. It's not about drum solos and chops. It's about just that specifically being like that sensitive to the structure of the song and the parts and the transitions. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in your position where you're doing education and, consulting, right? I mean, Glenn, the drum coach or the life coach.
Not quite.
Well, the thing is, you've got all of the wisdom of the experiences. And that's kind of what I was getting to, was that, of course, man, you can chop out all day long. You can practice and be great in your basement. But if you don't have the ability to communicate with somebody and listen, I mean, listening is a huge part of it. And improvisation. There's stuff that happens on the fly that there's an unspoken thing that goes on with musicians, even if you've never played together. I know that Steve Ferlazzo, the guy that runs that Lucky Strike jam, he puts that together, kind of like the jams that you were talking about. There's sound check maybe, but for the most part, everybody learns their parts. They show up and they play, right?
Yeah, we rehearse at sound check, but we don't always get to everything because there's limited time.
Yeah,
and there's been some epic nights there with great guests, and we don't want to show up 90% prepared when Steve Vai or Tom Morello or Gavin DeGraw are playing with us. We want to know it and know their recent live versions with the endings that could be so different from the record. But all that is easy to find now with the internet.
Yeah.
We played this last week with their touring band. It's all out there. You just have to care enough and have the incentive to want to get that stuff right.
I think it's impressive to them. Like, I've seen you do the Nuno gig before out there, right? So that's nuts, man. When Nuno Betancourt comes in, and that guy can play anything. It's
yeah. He's done guitar, piano, percussion. Yeah.
What was the biggest surprise guest that you've had an opportunity to play with there?
At Lucky Strike? I mean, Steve Vai. There was this one night, or it's been a couple of nights, where we had this Guitarapalooza type thing, but we did it for the first time in 2017. It was Nuno, Steve Vai, Tom Morello, Richie Kotzen, Stu Ham.
Jesus.
And we had everybody on stage at once playing Voodoo Child.
Oh my
God. They're
God.
Trading solos. It's on YouTube like everything is.
About 45 minutes version?
What's that?
Is that about a 45-minute version with all those guys?
Oh, easily, yeah. And then we played separate songs with them. With Vi, we did Yankee Rose. And with Tom Morello, we did an Audio Slave tune. And he likes playing some off-the-wall stuff. We've played with him there where he's gotten up to do Wrathchild from Iron Maiden.
Wow.
And we did Sabotage by the Beastie Boys, where he's doing the record scratching thing on guitar.
Nice.
Or he takes the cable out and he touches it to the palm of his hand that, grounds it.
No way.
Well, that's you hear that on Rage Records. So that going, oh, that's how he gets that sound.
I had no idea.
With touching the cable, and he's doing the wah pedal.
Oh,
it's not guitar doing that. He's playing the cable. Yeah.
Jesus, that's cool.
Yeah, he was someone. You could see someone screwing around with that at rehearsal, and then someone going, "Oh, you got to do that for real at a show."
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, I know that he's a very accomplished player, but people sort of lump him into like a one-trick pony dude, but he's not. He's
definitely not. I worked with him in a way recently on a movie that he is one of the music supervisors on, or he's like the musical director. It's a movie coming out hopefully next year, Netflix movie called Metal Lords, where I coached the lead actor who is a drummer. He's a kid actor who's, you've seen him in a ton of movies. He's Bill in the movie It. He's one of the main kids, Jaden Martell. He's in Knives Out. He's in Saint, what is it, the Bill Murray movie, Saint Joseph or Saint something. It was one of his first. I'm blanking
Somebody
on
in
the
the chat will know. Well, yeah, you were up in Portland for that. Remember, we had a COVID hang.
Yeah, and Tom Morello plays on like the finale song that these actors have to mime to. Okay. And Tom he doesn't even sound like Tom. It sounds like a whole other shredding guitar player. Right on. And he's making sure he wants the authenticity level to be like top notch, and as well as the writer producer DB Weiss, who is he's known for being one of the creators of Game of Thrones. Oh, okay. And I had met him at Lucky Strike. He got up to play with us one of those nights that Tom was there.
God, that you just reminded me about a couple of things. I mean, you talk about the versatility and the authenticity. I know we have just a couple minutes left, and so I wanted to throw something at you. A lot of dudes that cats in the industry. I asked Rudy Sarzo about this. The night I talked to Tawny Katane, it was 3 weeks before she passed away, and I had asked her about her dream band. Right? I said, "Give me the ultimate lead singer, bass player, drummer, that kind of thing." It's funny because she mentioned Rudy Sarzo, the bass for sure. And I'm like, oh, well, he's my guest tomorrow. So we talked about it. She jumped on that interview, and I talked to Rudy about his collective, right? Because that guy's been played with so many Hall of Fame bands, and gone through a lot of loss, right? I mean, like the people that he's lost. And this is putting you on the spot. So like Alice Cooper aside, so that nobody gets their feelings hurt, right? Tell me about Glen Sobel's all-time all-star band that you would be part of, right? So your buddy, Greg Bissonette already has that, right? He's in Ringo's all-star band. But if Glen Sobel gets to curate this band, give me a bass player, a guitarist, a keyboardist, and a vocalist.
I hate those questions.
I know. That's why I'm asking you.
No, hey, I'm proud to be in the Hollywood Vampires.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, you've got the three principals, right. Johnny Depp, Alice Cooper, and Joe Perry, but the other four of us, with me, it's Tommy Hendrickson on guitar, it's Chris Wise on bass, and it's Buck Johnson on backup vocals, keys, even a little guitar. He's Aerosmith's guy. I mean, that we definitely pat ourselves on the back, but it's a great backing band. But maybe you're talking more about legends that have been around for decades, like
maybe. But actually, you know what? I didn't even think about this, and how damn me for not thinking about it. You already have an answer. Like somebody, I have asked all these guys about their dream band, but you're already in it.
We take it seriously, and we've had, the tours, of course, with Hollywood Vampires, but we've had some last minute guests where we play their tune, like a quick addition when we were playing in Manchester, UK, I think it was, or Cardiff, one of those cities. It was Ian Hunter.
Wow.
We did All the Young Dudes, the Hoople classic. Oh. And it was short notice, and we rehearsed it all in the dressing room at low volume, had a little drum set in there, and then we played it. And it came off really well. Again, it's on YouTube.
Wow.
We're out there. And we're like, wow, okay, that came off really well. And it's all about knowing how to prepare, and everybody knows how to practice their parts on their own, and you make it happen.
God.
However much time you have, that's as much time as you need to prepare.
It's a hell of a legacy. I've talked to a lot of people about what they want to be remembered for when they're gone. When you're looking back at this like accomplishment that you've had in your life, especially you musically. I mean, since the early days, right? You had this vision of what you wanted to be doing for a living. You're doing it right now. When you get to look back, and maybe some of your young proteges, your young students are, reflecting on Glen Sobel's life, they're writing the book on Glen Sobel. What is it that you want to have them remember you for?
Oh, yeah. You with the good questions.
Yeah. Terry Gross, man. This is, NPR.
Just being somebody that could fit into a lot of situations and be diplomatic and be able to navigate things really well and make people's lives easier, not harder, things like that. That's more than one answer, but.
No. I mean, you know what, buddy? You were that guy for me. If you remember, there were situations where I've been presented opportunities and I reached out to you first. I'm like, all right, I could go this route or this route in music, and I'm not quite sure that I trust my intuition. And I've asked you about it, and you've given me great feedback. You've helped me make decisions based on the right answers, you know. And I think you brought a lot of light to my playing and my light. I told you this the other day on your birthday, and I didn't want to sound corny, man, but you really have been more than just an influential drummer to me. You've been a great friend, and I appreciate it. You know?
Oh, well, likewise, Kevin. Absolutely, yeah. We first started talking how long ago?
2006, man. 2005. Okay. Yeah, 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's nuts. Yeah. It's crazy since you're 27. I mean, we must have been what, 14.
Exactly.
You know, there's plenty to sort of catch up with you on. What I'd like to do is the next time that you and I see each other, I want it to be as we are in passing. I've got a day off, and I'm backstage with you, with Alice, and we can, you know, you can give us the behind the scenes tour of the theatrics. Maybe isn't Alice's wife and daughter involved in the production of the show too?
Well, his wife Cheryl is. Calico, his daughter, used to do it years ago, and once in a while she'll come out, and both wife and daughter will be in there doing the crazy nurse part. It's a family business when you see that, which is crazy but cool. But yeah, Cheryl Cooper has been back in the show since 2013.
Amazing.
And she's first started on it in '76.
Oh my God.
She was a dancer on the Welcome to My Nightmare tour, and that's how they met.
She still looks so young too, man. It's not. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. She keeps great shape, does the dancing thing, and and she's doing so much more than that. She's doing the acting, you know, the nurse, the ballerina, the different parts. When she's not on stage, she's side stage with a microphone singing backup vocal harmonies.
Oh wow.
Yeah, people don't realize that.
No, that's crazy, man.
She's a great singer. Calico, the daughter, is a great singer too. She is a co-front person of Beasto Blanco. That's our bassist Chuck Garrick's band, which is a badass band. And then Alice's son Dash sings in a new metal band, and he's got a powerful voice. Alice says, everybody in my family is a better singer than me.
Yeah, yeah, but nobody has the vibe, man. Alice.
But then he says, "But I could sell a song unlike anyone else."
Yeah, that's the truth, man. Yeah. Vincent Furnier has got his shtick down for sure. Yeah. I'm great. I
mean, other people singing those same lyrics, it would just fall flat. Totally. But he sells it every night. It's totally convincing. He's in character. He's not talking between songs at all, which makes it hard on a drummer. It's one song into the next.
Right.
But yeah, it's a total dedication to the character when the show's going.
It's fun, man. I'm glad that you guys are out doing it. I'm really glad that you're going to be out with Buck Cherry, because those guys are, you know, they're great dudes. They put on a killer show. I think those guys are all sober now too, so they're you know, they're following Alice's you know, sort of direction in keeping a kick-ass rock show and being there for it, you know. So
nice.
I'm going to wish you not only a happy new year, but I have to wish you a happy birthday, dude. I'm so grateful to have had this 15, 16 years of hang time. I see that Michael Jordan is here in the chats watching and throwing his observations too. So we're both mutual fans of Glen Sobel here. Nice to see you, Michael. And
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. Well, yeah, he's next door neighbor to Jennifer Batten. So tell her hi for us. And man, the next time I see you, dude, you get 27 birthday spanks, right? I'm not going to sing for you though.
Hopefully real soon. If not, you know, April is when we're in Portland. That's where we go down the West Coast, I guess, from Canada.
Yeah. Yep.
Dates in there, and then I know there's an LA show in there somewhere.
Beautiful, man. Well, between the last time you and I talked and now, you became a Vader Drumstick member, so I'm grateful that we share that together, man. So here's to Vader. And
Chad Vader, he's the man. Yeah.
Chad Brandolini. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Well, listen, for you guys that just popped in here, go back to the beginning of this. Glen has a great perspective on amazing rock and roll experiences, but keeping a level head, being humble. It's a really fun opportunity to listen to this guy talk about everything. If you want to be a fan or a supporter of this show, and I've mentioned this, you can actually subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button. There's a little bell down there. If you become a member of the show, I'm going to put you into a drawing. We got a handful of different things. I've got some signature packages. Rhythm Traders has put together a gift certificate for us. Maybe I can corral Glen Sobel into getting a pair of signature drumsticks from him. Otherwise, you're just going to have to settle with a signature pair of drumsticks from a flock of seagulls. That's kind of
that's cool too.
Yeah, but I can actually get passes for our shows if we're able to come to shows that people can see in your city. Sorry, I'm fumbling for words, man. It's been a couple of days of crazy weather in Cali. Oh, hey, Caleb wants to say hi.
Hi, Glenn.
Hey, Caleb, how you doing, man?
How's it going, dude?
The producer of my show.
Making sure everything goes well here,
Yeah. Somebody asked here on the camera why we're sitting in a car. Well,
it's raining.
We're getting ready to hop an airplane here in at LAX.
Yep.
And I wanted to make sure that we got this done and got the chance to hang with Glenn before we hopped on. So I'm going to return this neon green Audi that we have.
Not really?
Yes, we have a bright fluorescent green Audi that we did some photo shooting in front of the Roxy last night. So
oh, nice.
So, dude.
Yeah, you do a great job with this, and you've been a great buddy all this time. And I'm so glad to see like some of the amazing guests that you've had on the podcast. You're just like a natural with this. Not everybody can do that.
Well,
so people just kind of take to it.
God, I really love the hang, right? As you know, I mean, guys that I had on the last couple of weeks, dude, they're such huge fans of yours and great friends of yours. Vinny Appice had some great things to say about you, of course, man. So,
oh man, Vinny, what an influence and great guy. I mean, it's cool. Like he was the first drum clinic I ever saw when I was 15.
Really?
Yeah. So that's surreal always, but sure, he's a huge influence.
God, man, what a great human being too. His story about meeting Buddy Rich for the first time with his brother was pretty fun. So, do you know that one?
Yeah, I think I've heard a little bit of that. He's got the John Lennon story. His mom.
Oh, dude, the John Lennon thing's crazy. Yeah. So, guys, if you're catching this and you didn't watch that, go back in the archives. Go to accesskevin.com. Check out what Vinny has to say about, like John Lennon, his first real gig as his 16-year-old, played with John Lennon, and then meeting Buddy Rich for the first time and smoking ganja with him. So, Glen Sobel, I love you, brother. Thank you for your support, and thank you for the hang. Thank you guys on the chat.
Thanks, man. I love you. It's been great.
Yeah, dude, stay healthy so I can get to see you in April, okay?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
It's a done deal.
Great. All right, you guys, have a great new year, and I will see everybody in the snow in Portland. I'll talk to you guys soon.